Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm Crystal Hinkle. I'm part of the team here at Syncro. I'll let the ladies introduce themselves as well.
Hey everybody, it's Tatiana. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy. Nice to see everyone today.
Yes, lovely to see everyone. It's October. I don't know how that has happened. But I want to start off by just welcoming everyone. If you're brand new to Open Office Hours, first time here, welcome. We love Open Office Hours. Little bit of detail about how we kind of run the live Q&A is that we use the Q&A. That's the best way for us to track questions as they're coming in. These questions can be anything. We're open to deep dive certain features. If it's a simple how-to, just, hey, is this here type of question, everything's welcome. It doesn't matter if you've just started trialing Syncro, if you have been a paying customer for a while, it doesn't matter. We're open to answer those questions. That's what we're here for. And of course, those of you that are returning, happy to have you again. It's good to see you all. One thing that I mentioned last week, and I will, I'm going to try to stay true to this promise of like walking through SNMP a little bit, but I wanted to also just mention, and I will drop the link into chat as well. We'll be doing that What's New in Syncro webinar next week, where we do kind of a deep dive on all of the new features that we've released in the last 6 weeks. And so I will drop the registration for you guys to check that out if you haven't registered already. And then also what I'm hearing is that there has been a huge request for like a webinar that is only SNMP, like deep dive, technical, how do I type of webinar, and that is on the list. I don't think we have a specific date yet planned for that, but just wanted to let you know. And so this is going to be a super high level. Here is where to find it in Syncro. This is the basics of setting it up. And then, of course, utilizing the video that was released, it's on YouTube, our knowledge base article, that kind of thing. So just going to preface that this is going to be somewhat high level. And let me get rid of my awesome background here. And so I'm just going to dive into the app here. I'm going to move our faces because it's blocking my more button. So I'm just going to go over to SNMP, and we're just going to kind of talk through the basics here. This was a huge release. This was highly requested to be able to monitor, things like firewalls and printers and that kind of thing. And the functionality here is really neat. And the way that it also then, just like any other module that we release, it ties in 100% to the RMM and to the PSA really, really seamlessly. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit create new SNMP asset. So what we're doing here is you can give it a friendly name. So, whatever that might be. And then you're going to choose an asset type. Now, these asset types are very similar to creating custom assets right now, where you can have different fields and things like that you want to include in that asset. But for now, I'm just going to keep a simple one, because this is also using a printer as an example is where my brain goes immediately, just because there's a real huge upsell opportunity here for MSPs. If you're not already offering to manage that printer and sell them toner, for example, this is a neat opportunity and an additional revenue stream for MSPs. So again, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm going to monitor this printer. They've got maybe they have 2 printers on the network or whatever. And you could say maybe first floor printer or accounting office printer, whatever you want it to do. This is the friendly name. And then you're going to have to input that host IP. So you will have to know that IP and the port. Now, then you're going to come over here and you're going to say, this is for Larry, and you're going to choose a device that you want to use to be able to monitor that asset. So whatever it might be, I don't know which desktop we usually use, the one that's online. I'm just going to select one so you get the point. That's obviously not the one anyways, it'll show if it's online or offline. The one that I just selected is offline. And then, so in addition to that, then you can say, if you want to set up offline alerts, if that printer goes offline off the network, you can have it auto resolve, very similar to online offline alerts in the actual main policy. Now, where some really amazing magic starts to happen here is you can use these OID monitor recipes or create your own. And so we have, like, I think we have an example here as just as a recipe. And so then this is where, again, the magic kind of happens. You can create your own recipes, and so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. If you have multiple printers on the network, you'll then be able to just have that OID monitor recipe saved, and you can add it here. So again, this is, being able to set up alerts based upon the level of toner for yellow, or is it cyan? I never know what to say. Black toner, whatever it might be. You just add that object identifier here. You can choose the value, the threshold, and that sort of thing, so that you can have alerts come up when that toner is low, for example. So once you've set all that, you can create an SNMP asset. The amazing thing about this is that this is going to come in just as a regular RMM alert. So what that means is then you can set up an automated remediation based upon this SNMP alert. So if it's like, oh, yellow toner is down, that automation that you create would be like, what makes sense to me is maybe you want to create a ticket, but maybe if this is something new, you send an email to that customer and say, hey, you're out of ink. I have this available, blah, blah, blah. And you can have that just pre-made email so that you can upsell that printer. That toner. So this is, again, super high level example. But the ability to, again, upsell your customers is huge, but then also just being able to monitor those firewalls and NAS devices, that kind of thing. I have heard, based upon if you're in our Facebook group, I think Andy posted yesterday that we are absolutely listening. Just like when we released chat, the chat feature was phenomenal on release, but right away we got some requests. Hey, we love chat, but there's a few things we want. And so we're hearing you as well for SNMP, and Andy did post. So if you're not part of our Facebook group, I would recommend checking that out, because he kind of made an announcement yesterday giving a little bit of like the insight of the roadmap for SNMP specifically. So I would probably recommend checking that out too. And again, there's going to be more of a technical deep dive on this, as well as I will talk through this again in the What's New webinar next week. I'm seeing some questions over here that seem to be related. So monitoring device is the device that will be polling the SNMP devices. It must be mostly online to be yes, this monitoring device, depending, like if it's a printer and really you only need to be monitoring during working hours, it might not have to be a server. But when it's like firewall, that kind of thing, yeah, it makes sense that this monitoring device would be something that was online a good amount of time. So let's see here. Do you guys suggest any tool to get all the OIDs or MIBs? I don't know of a tool that we would suggest. I will say that this is something that we're working on adding a community library for. That was one of the things that I saw in, oh, go ahead, Brandy. Do we already have the library?
No, but I was going to mention that I saw someone on the Facebook group the other day that said until Syncro comes up with one. Keep in mind, this isn't Syncro sponsored or anything, but someone on the Facebook page did make a doc to share with other people in the group that others can add to. So it's a really good interim resource.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, in that little post from Andy, he definitely mentions talks about getting a community OID, just like a group, just not group, but public community, where just like our community scripts. So I know that that's in discussion as well, because I know that would be super helpful. Thank you, Brandy. Let me see here. Charlie says, sorry, I missed that part. You have to go out and find each OID for each object, like specific OID for, yes. And those are specific to each device and component. Yes, all of that. Yes, you do have to go and get the OID and input that here. Yep. Okay, I think that I don't see any other SNMP questions right now. What I was going to do, like I mentioned, and I don't want to forget, this is the link to register for what's new in Syncro next week. And again, we'll keep you posted on the date of the deep dive for SNMP specifically. I think Andy might do that one. So just giving you a heads up there. But otherwise, we can feel free to start putting your questions in the Q&A, and we can kind of dive into the next section of open office hours. So I will stop sharing. I think Brandy's going to grab one.
Yeah, I see Damien just says, our alerts are out of control and wish to better control over them so they are useful. Really, really good comment. I think what a lot of people find is that when in the admin section, when you turn on your notifications for RMM alerts, you can get a ton of different types of alerts. So I'm just going to share something that will help you get a little bit more control over specific alert types. And you can do this through automated remediations, especially for those that are very, very important to set up. And you may have done this already, but I just always suggest this to get a little bit more granular with specific alerts. So you can set up an automated remediation. You can do this for any process and service monitoring, SNMP devices now, different RMM alerts. So I'll just create one in here, and maybe you want to say, okay, there are certain things that I can remediate on its own without touching the device. Let's just go ahead and get ahead of the game. These aren't pre-populated in the account, but they only take about 10 seconds to set up. So you could say, okay, a device has low hard drive space, and maybe you don't want that alert for every single person, right? You want more control over these different types of alerts. So let's just say this person has my platinum policy and they have low hard drive space. I'm going to go ahead and take care of the problem for them. So maybe you want to convert it into a ticket just to have a paper trail, but you could also just run a script. These just pull from the ones you've imported from the community script library, and then you can go ahead and clear the alert. You can, of course, go full circle and create a ticket and email the customer and things like that. But this is going to be the section where you can definitely have a lot more control over what you are getting alerts on, how you are getting notified, what the actions that are going to be taken are. So hopefully this section helps you.
Awesome. I have a feature request from Brian. It's about the chat. He said it would be good for text wrapping when chatting. So I will definitely pass that along to the team, as well as you're asking about chat on the mobile app. Definitely super highly requested, and we'll pass that along. As mentioned previously, sometimes we'll get questions that we don't have the direct answers to. So if you are noticing that your question isn't getting answered right away, sometimes we're double checking with our support team. So we're not ignoring you, we're just double checking to make sure we're giving you guys the accurate information. So just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I'm going to grab a few here. The first one is, yes, Ruben, is Syncro thinking about building an internal OID library similar to scripts? Yes, we are. I don't have a time frame, but yes, absolutely. Where can I go for more info on modifying the details and format of time entries on invoices based on time entries in the ticket? This is interesting. I feel like I make a note of this every week. We get this question, I think every week. Do you guys agree? So I'm just going to share my screen. I think this would be cool to, maybe we should highlight this as possibly like a video on in the training tab or something like that. But I'm just going to show you, I'm just went to the admin section, and I'm going to hop down to ticket preferences here. And from here, I'm going to go to additional settings. It is baked in here a bit, so I'm not saying like this is easy to find by any means, but customize ticket timer charges. From here, if you click the little tooltip here, you can go to these ticket timer tags, and it'll tell you what you can use so that you can make sure that every line item that is brought over from a ticket labor line item is the same. So you can use these little tags, you can place them here, And then really it's going to, when it pulls over onto the invoice, it's going to pull that in a very formatted way. So hopefully that will help. I am going to read this out loud because I might just be missing the question. So I love automated remediation, but could there be a way to get automated remediation triggered, but not have to make every single automation need to be limited and hinging to being an alert? I don't know. Do you guys know what the meaning is there?
I think his next comment where it says this is related to the alert overload, we're trying to do the automation but having to force it to be an alert is driving my team crazy. So because it has to be an alert to be an automation type of a thing.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if, and again, every use case is a little bit different, but it definitely has to be an alert to be able to trigger an automation. But one of the things that you could do, let me just head over to automations, because you could, as part of the automation, depending on which alert it is, you could have the action, like the immediate action, be clear the alert and then do all of the stuff. So if you wanted to like clean up the alerts, maybe that would help. I don't know if that would solve it, but hopefully.
Or even changing like how you get alerted. Because in the notification center, you can change how you all get alerted. If you don't want to get an email for every single RMM alert that comes through, maybe you just want it to be an in-app notification and it'll show under your name where it says 354 on Crystal's screen. You can see all of the different alerts. So maybe that's what you would like. And then for the ones that are going to be more severe, you could have it email you through the automated remediations. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Okay, I want to, this next one, I want to make sure that I bet I like grabbed, I don't know if you guys know this, but when the queue is like, we can click like, I want to answer that question. And I got maybe like a little click happy there because I I just want to make sure that this is the answer. But the question is there a quick, easy way to discount an entire invoice versus having to discount by each line item? And I thought that, I guess I was thinking immediately that I had the answer to this, but now I'm second guessing myself. So I'm just going to go to an invoice. And if anyone wants to like dive in and save me if I'm saying the wrong things, I thought you could add like a line item that's called discount. Am I on the right track there? Or is that
Yeah.
not, like it?
Yep.
Right? Like, yeah. So you would do this and you would create this line item. And so, yes, it would discount the rest of the line items, right?
I think so, yeah. You
Yeah,
do
and I
have
think
to build the product as a discount first, is to make sure you have it.
Yes. Well, so it's linked to a discount. Yes, discount percent. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I was like, I know you can do it. I just want to, this is helpful. So thank you, Tatiana. This is the discount where you can say a specific discount amount or a percentage. So this is set to a percentage. So if it's 50%, so what happened there is when I added that to the invoice, it's going to discount the entire invoice 50%. Awesome. Thanks. This is the fun part about doing live demoing on the fly. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Crystal. Super helpful. I have a couple feature requests. It's interesting. Every single open office hours is so different. Like sometimes we'll get one feature request, and I think today it's just there's feature requests all over the place. So I'm gonna just rattle off a couple of these, and I am kind of documenting them as we go around. So I put on my list the chat ones that we had previously. I have a feature request in here to run a script directly from Syncro Live. So I'll make sure that I include that as well. I mean, you can, I'll go ahead and share my screen and make sure I'm showing the right thing. You can use command line or PowerShell to run things in a background in a Syncro Live session, but there isn't a way to like schedule from there as well. So for those of you who have not seen this via Syncro Live, that is kind of where I would recommend moving from there is just right within the terminal using command line or PowerShell right in here. So just wanted to make sure that I passed it along. And then I had another question here from Jeffrey. Hi, when installing a RMM agent on a client's machine, it would be wonderful if we can add a friendly name during the install. It would save so much time. So again, as far as I'm aware, you can obviously add the friendly name when you are editing the device. So I will have to double check and see if I don't think there's a setting to change and update them as you're adding them. I think you do have to edit it once it already exists. So I can definitely pass that along as well.
I'll go ahead and grab a couple in here. I think they're a little bit out of order, but let's see. I have a question about, is there a way to put a worksheet from a ticket in the invoice? So I truly had never even tried this before, and I still haven't tried it, but I did just look in the available template tags in the invoice, and I just searched for worksheet, and I don't know what it looks like in here, so I would definitely test this out, but there's two different tags that you can use in a template. And this is important because you can have multiple templates. So if for one customer you want to show those, but for another customer you don't, you can absolutely choose which template is shown there. So absolutely use your template tags. And how I got to these was just when I went to admin, PDF and email templates, I went into the invoice and then I just searched out to the right. So you can use those and just drop them over.
Awesome. I'm gonna I feel like I'm just like brutal with these questions today, but I'm just gonna try it. So Scott's question, and maybe others, these are the types of questions that people that are actually doing the day-to-day work of an MSP might be able to answer this question better than myself. And so I'm just going to be humble and say I might need help with this one. Still, it says still struggling over here with server came back up in automated remediation. I have it kind of working, but for every down, we get an up. And since we re-trigger alerts every 15 minutes, if a server is down for 2 hours, like from the internet, we get 8 emails, time for technicians, that the server came back up with the way I had to do it. So the only information that I have to like shed light in any way, and I don't know if this is something that you've already worked with, but in automated remediation, and like I said, if someone already has figured this out, let me know. And Scott, if I'm not answering your question, I'm sorry, but for everyone else, this is helpful to just know that it's here. I'm going to head over to automated remediation. If I create a new one here, one of the conditions is to set a rate limit. And I wonder if that would help. So like you can say, I only want this automation to run like 1 time per hour or 1 time for, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that would help, but it might. And again, this kind of goes also to how you have this automation set up. So, and how you want to be notified. So like if you had every RMM alert set up in your notification center to get an email, plus you had an automation set up as well, yeah, you're going to get notified a lot. So maybe the rate limit would help, I hope. And if not, if you didn't know rate limit was here in automation, here you go. So I'll hand it over now.
Awesome. I will grab one right at the top. Barry's question is, maybe my issue is more about how or when the invoice will get imported to QuickBooks Desktop. So I'll share my screen and I dropped the KB into the chat box as well. But with QuickBooks Online, or I'm sorry, with QuickBooks Desktop specifically, there is a difference with how the sync happens. So I was just taking a look at the KB and it says live updates are going to not be sent immediately. But really, if you scroll down here, it says they sync when you run your QuickBooks Web Connector tool on your desktop. So if you're noticing any type of lags in tickets being created on the QuickBooks Desktop side, once they have been created on the Syncro side, you can always reach out to our support team and they'll take a closer look for you and help you troubleshoot those things. And then a question from Brianna, can I also piggyback off of Barry's question? Is there a way to get just the date in month, date, and year format on the invoice without the day of the week and the time being on there as well? I didn't have the time to take a closer look at this super in depth, but I wanted to, this would be the section that would control what is carried over to the invoices. Are the different ways that the time and date is displayed is under the ticket section in your preferences and additional settings. You have a ton of different available tags that you can pull in to your ticket timer charges as well as ticket charges. And so in this KB, I would just go through those different tags that are available, and I'll drop this for you guys into the chat box as well, of basically what is, if there is just a time in, or just a date in the way that you want it to be formatted instead of including the time. So I'll go ahead and drop that into the chat box for you guys. And then the last question here is from Scott that I'll address here. He said, by the way, for the server came back up, we are using a custom script at the asset to fire a custom alert type, but since they queue up on the down server, they run that many times on restart. So again, like Crystal mentioned, a lot of times we'll get questions from you guys, either it's on demos or during open office hours, that it's helpful to jump into the community if you guys are not there yet within the Facebook group, or if you guys have responses of kind of how to address certain things. That is super helpful to us, because again, we are product experts. We're here to point you in the right direction, but we are not troubleshooting servers and running alerts and different things like that on a daily basis.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. I've got a couple in here. So Barry says, I was just in touch with support about being able to change and add information in the subject of a notification email, especially for offline devices. Do you have a quick answer for this? I haven't had a chance to look at the KB. So a couple things here. You cannot change the, currently at the time, the subject of the emails that are going to be sent out. The one way you could do it is through automated remediation. So if, for example, you had one that was agent offline, then you could come in, you could have this either send to the technician or a custom email address if you wanted to send it to you. And then here you could change the subject for this RMM alert. So this would be the way that you would do that. The standard RMM alerts that come in, those are not customizable at the time as far as the specific alert. So I hope that helps. And then I think there's another one that's close to here. So oh, I might have just lost it. I think I did. Let's see here. John, he had a feature request. Okay. Could I do a feature request for having alert categories? Maybe a single scoring 1 to 10, then we can have much more control over automation. And if we send an alert based on severity score, or even contact the technicians as a severity score is high, to warrant a text, email, Teams alert, etc. This would solve the issues we are struggling with. Really good suggestion. We will pass that along while we're talking about submitting feature requests. In our Facebook group, it's gotten super popular. There was one posted yesterday. So about every 2 weeks, you'll notice a post from Andy, and he's asking for community-driven quality of life features. Quality of life features aren't features like S&MP monitoring that take months and months, right? It's quick fixes that we can roll out within a week or two, and they are taking one like every single week. The post yesterday, they keep it up for 24 hours. You can add your own, you can upvote. They post like the top 10 and you guys can comment. It had like 900 comments when I checked last night. So it's gotten really, really popular. People are looking at it. And there's some really cool features coming out that are just directly related to what you guys are requesting. So I highly suggest getting involved in there. Every single one of those gets read. And I think even Andy posted in there that thread gets a lot more special attention. It's being looked at by the most important people who make these decisions. So highly suggest posting there.
I agree. And there are some gems in there. Like there's some good stuff. So yes, thank you for everyone here that's active in that. Thank you. All right, I was gonna grab just a couple. Are there plans to allow multiple contacts to a ticket? So I'm just gonna share my screen because I know that, let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. I've got too many things up. Okay. I just wanted to show what you can do now, because I don't actually know if this is slated on the roadmap at this point. I think we're looking into it, absolutely, because we're looking into a lot of features in regards to tickets, and if you have teams or tiers of technicians, that kind of thing. So just that's a totally off note. But for as far as contacts go, you can do additional CCs. So like you can only have one assigned contact here, but you could add the additional contacts here. And if they're a contact that are it, like it's not a drop down, that is a request that I would like to see. It's not a drop down. You actually have to start typing the email, and if that person's email is in the system, it will autofill. But that's the place to put an additional contact here at this point. Then I had one other short one, or maybe, can we automatically add after hours charges based upon the time interval of the ticket? Not yet, right? That's the answer would be not yet. I think, I mean, you can have, obviously, you can add different after hours charges, and we're doing some cool things with business hours at this point, but not quite yet on that one, Mark.
Awesome. I'll grab this one at the top. Is from Mark. The question is, how can we add on-site charges automatically to a ticket, either by ticket type or scheduled on-site appointment? So this is actually a really cool feature, and I think unless you're specifically looking to accomplish this, you wouldn't really know that it's in there, but I wanted to mention, so if we go over to our calendar within Syncro, I just went over to the appointments, and if you're scheduling an appointment from the calendar, you have the ability to select the ticket in here, of course, and then also select an appointment type. I'm going to select on-site for the specific appointment type, and I'm going to create the appointment. I'll show you what it's going to do here. So by me selecting that on-site appointment type, what that did is it automatically also attached the ticket here, and you'll notice that it did pull in a ticket charge. So I know that I'm going to be going on location, and I charge my customer a fee for the time travels and things like that there. So you can pull in a automatic charge to a specific appointment type, and I'll show you how to set that up. So if you go over to your admin section, and if you just literally search for appointment in here and open your appointment types, and I have my appointment type set to on-site. And if you edit in here, you can say automatically add ticket charge, and you can pull in anything that you need to in here that is part of your products and services section. So even if it's something like, I believe you can pull in any product in here that you might need. And again, just add it in there, save it, and then anytime your technician uses that appointment type when they're getting scheduled, that will automatically be added to the ticket that's associated with that appointment and that appointment type. So hopefully that is helpful to you. And then I have another request, guys. I have like an entire doc going here of just things that I'm excited to pass along for you. So the request is from Charlie. He's saying, if we're talking about feature requests, two things in related to discounts. Number one is to show the strike through on the old price like it does on the side before the PDF, and to show the discount total down in the subtotals. I do hear that one a lot, just to show kind of the exact total of, yes, you are getting a discount, but what is the total sum? He's saying this wouldn't quote unquote make me more money, but it would save me time with customers asking where their discount is. Also, it would save me money as my nonprofit send a donation receipt with those discounts. It would make it easier for them to see and less likely to miss. So again, that is, I can totally understand where you're coming from on that one. And again, I will pass it along for you. And if you want to post it in that Facebook thread as well, I think that would be super helpful. And then I'm also going to just quickly address some comments here from Barry and Russ. Russ is helping Barry out. Barry said not really about the time when I was showing the different ticket tags. He say, but more about it may look right in Syncro, not when it's imported in QuickBooks. It doesn't contain the date correctly. And Russ shared a ticket tag. So Barry, if you can see it, that's the one that I would use as just a ticket timer date. And it'll show like September 15, 2020, which is I think what you're going for. So those are going to be the two that I wanted to address.
Awesome. Thank you. I've got two that are on the same screen inside of Syncro. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those. John, I also see your message, and that's one that we'll pass along as far as having another destination for Syncro backups other than Dropbox. Security is a concern, so I'm absolutely going to pass that along to the team as well. But I'm going to tackle two in here. So one, Mark is asking, is there a way to automatically generate an invoice? So I'm assuming the recurring invoice, but prevent it from emailing immediately. We'd like to preview it first. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to go ahead and read, let's see here. Leah is asking if a recurring invoice is set to run next on the last day of the month and has the last day of the calendar month checkbox checked. Will the invoice have everything through the end of the month, or will it miss that day's labor? So let me show you the different options on that page too. Let me just pull up the invoices. So for the first question, Mark, there is this option to email the customer the PDF. So if you don't select this option, it's not going to email automatically. So you can just keep that one unchecked. And then Leah, for your question, so if I choose that this is going to run next on October 31st, the period mode is going to be important for you because this determines if that day gets added in or not. So you can choose if you're billing in arrears or in advance, and it looks like it used to have 3 options, but there's 4. So either you want it to start on the day of the invoice creation or the day after. So if I'm billing on October 31st and I want it to start the day after, to include the entire month, then that's what I would do here. So you can kind of use these, but definitely want to use the period mode. That's going to determine what's included in that invoice.
Awesome. Barry says, thanks, gotta run. I will try the recommended tag, which I just wanted to mention just because obviously we're here for a full hour for you guys. We blocked our calendar. We are here to answer all your questions for a full hour. But if you need to pop in the middle, ask your questions, get them answered, and you got to run, that is totally fine. Again, whatever is helpful to you. I wanted to address a question here. It is when I invoice a ticket and add additional time from other completed tickets, the other tickets don't show as invoiced or linked or a linked invoice. Is there any way to change the other tickets to invoiced and get a linked invoice on the additional tickets? So that sounded like I said the same 3 words like over and over again, but I think I know what you're referring to, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. So what they're referring to specifically is if we go over to any ticket within Syncro, if you use the make invoice button within the ticket, it will automatically convert that ticket into an invoice, and it will link to the ticket. So I'll show you guys a ticket here. I have some charges listed here based on time that I've added here, and I'm going to go ahead and click make invoice. So you'll notice that when I click make invoice from the ticket, it does link the ticket here, and then you'll notice that the ticket status is automatically updated to invoiced as well. So the request is that if you go to add all these pending ticket charges, to make sure that these actual tickets also get converted into a become linked on this specific invoice that you're working on here, as well as those ticket statuses turned into invoiced as well. So at this time, I do believe it's a feature request, but the biggest thing that I would recommend is probably using those ticket tags to reference specific tickets like I showed you guys previously, or if you're manually constantly adding more and more pending ticket charges to one invoice, I would just set up a clean scheduled invoice template, because you could set it up to where you create a recurring invoice to where it's billing, let's say, on a monthly basis, and all you have to do is just say add any pending ticket charges, and it'll again scoop up all the work that you've done throughout the month so far for that customer and kind of have it all in one page without you having to constantly be adding new pending ticket charges over and over again. So hopefully that idea is something that's going to be helpful to you.
Sweet, thank you. I'm gonna grab a couple here. Is a follow-up to that CCing on a ticket. Does the additional CC give the contact view access in the portal? Really awesome question, and I did just get verification that if you would just add a CC to another contact, they would only be able to see that ticket in their portal if you had tickets view all selected for that contact. Just by adding them as CC, it would not show up in their view mine you have to be the primary contact for it to be like in the view mine options. So really good question. Glad to clarify on that one. Tony wants to know, when creating SNMP OID recipes, can a test device be associated so OID entries can be verified while creating the recipe? So I know that there's not like a test device. However, what I do know is that if you, and I've seen it done, and again, I'm not going to attempt to know what a proper OID it would be, but I saw that once you like enter this information, I believe it literally like checks that printer and does like a check box, like, yep, it's right. Or it'll be like, nope, that's not going to work. So I don't know if you still would need a test, but it will show you if what you input is correct or not, like if it would actually trigger an alert. So I do know that much. So, but not like, there's not like a test one. Is there any other ones? I think I add, oh, Mark. Yeah, I can answer this one. Is there a way to add a line item for an invoice that will automatically calculate a percentage of the invoice for a credit card charges? No, there is not an automated way to do that. I will say it's been requested before, and for a lot of reasons, that's not something that we plan to add. So a workaround is definitely a line item that you either manually update or you just let the customer know, hey, I'm going to charge you this flat rate if you want to use a credit card. Obviously we do, depending on how you're receiving credit cards, if you're doing it within Syncro and you use WorldPay and, you know, get the customer on more of an ACH style plan, that does save you a ton of money in processing fees. And so that's like beside the point, but hopefully helpful.
Awesome, thanks. And then Jesse was asking, is there a way to attach KBs to a ticket? So I'm not sure if you're referring to just like documents or like anything in our documentation center. One thing inside of a ticket, you can absolutely add attachments. So you'll be able to do it here. Another way is to make those particular KBs or wiki that you've created in the document section. If you want to add those to their customer portal, then you're also able to do that. And not everyone in the company has to have access, but you can absolutely make documentation available here in their portal as well.
Awesome.
I have an update. Somebody asked, can we set the colors for the new SNMP categories? And at this time, it's not available, so I will pass that along as a feature request.
Speaking of categories, Brandy, do you want to?
I was just going to say, yeah. We're just going to do a live demo because honestly, I just kind of did this for the first time today, but we just released script categories. So I'm not sure if someone in this group asked me earlier in the week via email, and I'm like, not yet, but now we can make things a little bit more organized for you in the script section. So I'm going to go through a couple things. First of all, inside of a script, now you'll be able to assign a particular category. So what I've done is I just went into script categories. I created a new one, and you can create as many as you would like to. You're going to be able to see how many scripts you have in this particular category. So you can come in, you can change the name, the description, have multiple lists inside of here. And then I can come into the scripting engine and I can view all of my script categories inside of here. So makes things quite a bit more. I like it. I mean, especially here on the categories, you'd be able to view them all this way rather than have to view all 100 that you have in here. And then also if you're just looking at your entire list of scripts, so if I just click into scripts, you'll just be able to see really quickly what category they're in as well. So it'll have a little tag if they're in a particular category like this one does. So go through, I know it might be a little time consuming at first, but go through all of your scripts that you've imported from our awesome community script library or any that you have added, and go ahead and start organizing those. It's like a little saved search here. So super helpful. Hopefully it helps you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think it's cool to also, I mean, we're releasing a lot of really cool things, and we're releasing them very fast, and they're big things, and things that people are requesting. And so another one that's really exciting that, again, I think this is actually, you'll probably see a bunch of marketing like the minute you get out of open office hours. But if you're one of the folks that have been really excited about improvements to bulk, like editing portal users and bulk inviting to the customer portal, you're in luck. That is launching today. And so that's really exciting as well. Kind of another one that probably won't like necessarily, deep dive today, but it's fun to let you know that once you get out of here, you'll have something new to kind of learn about and check out. And I believe this one we do provide a really good video and how to set up and all of the different new options that you'll have regarding customer portal. So that's exciting.
Randy asked a follow-up question to that. So can you put scripts in categories in bulk, select and put them in a group, put them in as a group? So I was just tinkering around and seeing if that was possible, but yes. So if you just go into your scripts, select the ones that you would like, go to bulk edit categories, and here you go. So it makes things a lot nicer, faster, just like Crystal was saying with bulk editing anything, it saves a lot of time. So
It's almost like they knew somebody would ask for that and they just built it right away, which I think is so awesome. It takes a lot of insight to seeing, what is actually going to save you guys a ton of time. So I just love that so much. I have another feature request here. Any plans to fully integrate with Bitdefender throughout Syncro? I do think that at this time it's MCSoft that's more deeply integrated, but we did just release very recently, I think it's actually been less than a month, you do have the ability to test Bitdefender for free while you're on trial, or for 30 days even if you're a payer. So that is still allows you to deploy Bitdefender through Syncro, but I'm not aware of any super concrete plans, at least that I know of, to more deeply integrate Bitdefender. If there's specific modules that you want to see that you're constantly adjusting or that you want to see within Syncro, please let us know by emailing help@synchromsp.com so that we can pass it along to the devs for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think just in regards to Bitdefender, I think that the actual integration piece, I think all of the management as far as setting up, all of the settings, I believe that that's going to stay in Gravity Zone, like Tatiana mentioned. What we would like to do is surface a little bit more inside the app. So like maybe you could set up more automations and things like that. So that's exciting. We are looking into just ways to get more insight within Syncro. So we are looking for ways to do that. All right, I'm going to grab this one from Randy and take a stab at it. Ticket automations. When we try to send an email to a tech based on a status for a certain time period, say 2 hours, we seem to get duplicates every 2 hours. Also, the hidden comment email, what triggers this? Who gets the email, and can we change the notification templates? So let me just share my screen and let's walk through ticket automations here really quick, because I think I have a pretty solid response to this. Oh, I didn't want to go to tickets. I want to go to admin. It's Friday, folks. My brain is already like in tickets before I even set up the automation. So let me go to ticket automations here. And I'm just going to create a new one because I just want to show you a couple of settings. So if you add a condition like, hey, when the ticket status is random ticket status type, do this thing. And if you even have it say like hasn't been updated in 2 hours or something like that. So not updated in like 2 hours or whatever. So what's going to happen here is that when it hasn't been updated in 2 hours and it is that random ticket status, it's going to email your technician. Now, it's going to trigger that automation, but if nothing changes in the ticket, if the ticket remains random ticket status and it then doesn't go, and then it goes another 2 hours without being updated, it's going to re-trigger the automation. So one thing you could do is Like you could have it email, like your action could be email the technician and then like update the ticket. Like you could add a ticket comment to it so that it actually is updated, and then it would like start all over again. You could have it change the status, that kind of thing. So if you don't, in the actions or whatever, if the technician doesn't actually go in, or the customer doesn't do any update to the ticket, this will run every single time that those conditions are met. And ticket automations run on the hour, so that's where you probably are getting multiple. And then the other question is hidden comment. Also, the hidden comment email, what triggers this? This is if a private note is added to the ticket. So if a technician adds a private note to the ticket, and then the email like who gets the email, and can we change the notification templates? So this might be a different question as far as notifications, because if you're in notification settings and you have it set to be notified if there's a like hidden comment added to the ticket, that type of like this style of notification cannot be customized. The ticket automation notification emails or the automated remediation emails can be customized, but these ones cannot. So that was a really long answer, and I hope that I came close to answering it. What's next?
Craig is asking, will Syncro ever offer the option in security groups to specify what customers technicians have access to? This would be great for newly hired technicians. I don't know if it's something that we're going to add, but we do get this request a lot. I love it. For those of you who don't know, we do have single customer permissions. So meaning you could give access to just one customer to a technician, but it's either all or one at the time. But I too agree that that would be very, very helpful.
Look at that queue. We've got 8 minutes left, everyone. What else? What other questions have you been thinking about? Anything? Oh, feature request. Allow control over how often the ticket automation alerts get fired off. As it's only hourly, we use Syncro in a way to send voicemails that are an emergency to a ticket with no status. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're working on it. We definitely are working on real-time ticket automations. Yes.
Scott agrees. He likes Craig's request for multi-customer permissions.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yes. Let's see. We're going to start reading these on the fly, unless you guys... Any way to update or add assets from... Okay, any way to update, add assets from script, Zapier, etc. You can update assets using a script. Like you could update a custom field, that kind of thing using the PowerShell module script. I don't think Zapier has the capability to update an asset. Kind of depends on what exactly you would be looking to do.
Yeah, I've got a next one here. Got another feature request. I'm on page 2 of my Google Doc, guys, today. A question from Brianna: is there a way for a technician to only have access to their report for their own ticket timer charges without seeing any other technicians? Not at this time. I believe it's just a global setting if they have access to reports or not. You can't specify which reports in that section, but I will pass that along for you.
Awesome. Leah, can you have client-specific notice pop-ups or headers or something like that when opening a ticket for that client, or things like specific approval rules for that client? I don't believe in the ticket that a custom field can be a pop-up field. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But in a customer, it can be. So if you're, and let me just, whoops, I didn't mean to click on Stevens. I haven't even read it, but let me just share my screen really quickly. What you can do is, for a customer, you could have a pop-up that says like needs approval, or a VIP customer, or do not serve this customer, he owes too much money, whatever it is. You can do that. And then when you pull up a particular customer, that pop-up would show up around, it's usually like right around this area, and it would show that, and you would have to acknowledge before doing anything else on the page. So you could do that. If you're typically opening tickets directly from the customer page, then that's what I would do.
I'll take a couple here. They're also feature requests. Question from Mark, is there any news on having 2 or more outbound email addresses, one for billing, one for ticket leads? I think that would be awesome. We have multiple, you can have as many inbound email addresses as you'd like. Outbound is just one, but very, very, very highly requested. I hear this all the time on demos, so I will pass it along for you. Question from Randy, any updates on reporting? We have clients that request things like software inventory per device, etc. So yes, I will pass that specific one along for you. We do have a software inventory on a customer per customer basis, but not on, I don't think you can filter on per device. So I can pass that along for you as well. We've been saying this for a while, but we do have some really, really cool reports that are being finalized, different edit capabilities, things like that. Again, we're not going to release something that's not ready yet, so that's why sometimes it takes a little longer to push out, but there is something coming soon, so I'm excited about that.
I think a couple of these are just feature requests. So Steven says customer report. We have an external invoicing system. We would like a report to export pending ticket charges with the charge note. I can see you can run a report for pending ticket charges, but it doesn't have the note. And then Scott is asking, I can't believe this hasn't been done, internal departments like accounting and payroll. So we'll pass those along, of course.
Awesome. Love to Zapier integration. I don't know if it's on the like near future roadmap. I will say we've got some really, really, really awesome things on the way when it comes to different ways to automate things. So I'll just say that and leave it there for right now. Question, any way to receive reports per client once a maintenance script is done and updates? I believe in the PowerShell script, you can like notify or email, right? Or create a ticket. I know you can create a ticket, so maybe you could do that. You could have it run the maintenance script and then create a ticket. So I'm thinking that would be the best way to do that now. I know that if you were using like the Repair Tech integration and you were using TechSuite to run maintenance procedures, that automatically creates a ticket, adds all of the information into it. So if you want to look at that, you can, it's in the App Center. It's just a Repair Tech integration. So if you want to check that out. Go ahead, Tatiana.
Yeah, I can answer this one from Craig. He's saying, in the password vault, will there ever be an option for fields so we can add usernames along with passwords so they can be secured as well, also URLs, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to share my screen. You can encrypt any custom field within Syncro. It doesn't have to be specific. You don't have to label it a password custom field. So if you need to encrypt like you can enter any information that you want into a secured custom field, if that makes sense. You just have to make sure that when you are creating the custom field that you are saying that it is going to be a when you're selecting the field type, just make sure that it's secret and encrypted. You can name it, and then you can put whatever information you want in there. If it's a link, you might not be able to click that link, but whenever you enter the actual password to reveal what's underneath the password vault password, that is going to be visible there. It's not just specific to passwords. I hope that's making sense. So I think we recently did a deep dive on custom fields, and I'll include that into the chat box for you.
Awesome. I'm just gonna this last one and then we'll kind of wrap. I don't actually know the answer. Do you know if there is a way to report on or script a list of installed browser add-ons from systems? If any of you guys have a script out there that's doing that, maybe reach out and let Scott know, because I'm not sure. It might be a great Facebook question to ask to see if anyone's doing that. Awesome. Okay. So it is now 9:59 and I love that when I'm like 8 minutes and then like a gazillion questions came. So, I think we covered a lot of really awesome stuff. And like Tatiana just mentioned, just sending a recording of one of the ones that we did custom fields deep dive. Our YouTube channel is packed with a ton of videos, demos. Anytime a new feature is released, we've got an awesome how to set it up style video. So definitely check those out. We record these. They usually get posted same day, and you can review the last ones that we've done as well. But happy Friday, and thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.